Ladies and gentlemen, hear me closely. There comes a point in a woman's life when everything she thought was solid starts to shake. The people she trusted begin to drift away. The places that once gave her peace begin to feel strange. And suddenly she's standing in the middle of confusion, asking herself, why is this happening? But I need you to realize something. This is not the end. No. This is the moment just before elevation. Because when God is about to bless a woman with something major, He doesn't do it silently. He creates a shift so loud, so real, that she has no option but to pay attention. If you've been feeling unsure, if it seems like you're losing more than you're gaining, if there's a fire in your soul but you don't know where it's leading, then sister, sit up and listen. Because God is working in your life. And when He moves, He moves in a way that changes everything. Let's talk about the 7 signs that show a woman her blessing is closer than she believes. Before God hands a woman something big, He first strengthens her. And He doesn't do that with ease. He does it through trials, through storms, through fire. You don't wake up one day with deep faith. No, that kind of faith is developed, it's shaped in moments when everything seems to be falling apart and all you can do is trust Him. It's built when the bills are stacking up and you don't know how it'll be paid, but still you believe. It's built when the people you care for turn their backs and the only one you can rely on is God. It's built when the enemy whispers you're not going to make it, but you stand strong and say, I will. Every powerful woman you look up to didn't get there because life was easy. She became strong because life tested her. She went through the fire and didn't let it destroy her. When the world tried to crush her, she rose up even higher. Here's what you must understand. The storm isn't proof that God has left you. The storm is evidence that He's preparing you. Because what He's about to place in your hands is too heavy for who you used to be. He's shaping you into the woman who can carry it. He's strengthening you so when those doors finally open, you don't just walk in, you walk in with authority. So if right now everything seems to be falling apart, if you're being pushed to your limit, hear me loud and clear, you are closer than you realize. God is removing every weight that can't go with you into your next chapter. He's cutting off distractions. He's disconnecting you from relationships that would hold you back. He's allowing you to feel the pressure, because if you get too comfortable where you are, you'll never move to where He's calling you. Think about Joseph. God gave him a dream filled with greatness, but before the palace, there was a pit. His own family betrayed him. He was sold off, falsely accused, and thrown into prison. But each of those hardships was necessary because the man who stood before Pharaoh was not the same boy who wore the colorful coat. No, Joseph had grown. He had matured. And when his moment came, he wasn't just ready, he was equipped. That's exactly what's happening in your life. The pain isn't here to break you, it's here to build you. That betrayal, it's showing you who's truly loyal. That delay, it's teaching you how to wait with purpose. That heartbreak, it's clearing space for something far better. That resistance, it's making your faith stronger. And hear this, the enemy doesn't go after what doesn't threaten him. If you weren't carrying something powerful, he wouldn't fight you this hard. If you weren't nearing your breakthrough, he wouldn't try to wear you down. That's why this is the moment you must hold on tighter. This is the time you push harder. Because the blessing that's on its way is greater than you expected. And when it comes, you'll look back and see that the storm wasn't punishment, it was preparation. So, don't give up. Don't let your faith go. Don't let the enemy trick you into thinking this is how your story ends. Because God is about to move in such a powerful way that even the people who doubted you will say, only God could have done that. And when that moment comes, you'll know it wasn't a setback. It was the setup. Your blessing is just on the other side. When God is preparing to bless a woman greatly, He doesn't just hand her the gift, He gets her ready for it. And that preparation often looks like separation. He begins to remove people, places, and things that no longer match her purpose. And that's where it gets tough. Because as humans, we love what's familiar. We hold on to people because we're used to them, not because they're good for us. We stay in places that limit us because the idea of change feels overwhelming. We keep old habits, old thoughts, and old versions of ourselves because the unknown feels unsafe. But when God is about to take a woman higher, He doesn't let her stay the same. He begins to separate her. People she used to be close to start acting different. Conversations that once felt meaningful now feel empty. Friends she trusted now feel distant or even jealous. Relationships that felt like they would last forever start breaking, and she finds herself asking, why is this happening? But what if I told you this separation isn't punishment, it's positioning? What if I told you God isn't taking people away from you, He's creating space for the right ones? What if I told you that the discomfort you're feeling is growth? Some people were perfect for your past, but not for your future. They were fine while you were at a certain level, but now that God is lifting you, their true intentions are being revealed. Some only clapped when you were down. Some only showed up when you needed them. But now that you're rising, they can't handle it. And here's the test. You can hold on to the people God is asking you to release, or you can trust that He knows best. You can fight to maintain friendships that no longer align, or you can surrender and believe that something better is on its way. You can mourn over the doors that are closing, or you can start getting ready for the ones He's about to open. If you think about Abraham, God told him to leave everything, his land, his people, his home, and go to a place He would show him. God didn't even say where exactly, He just said go. And Abraham had to trust Him. Now imagine if he said, no, I'm comfortable here, I know this place, I don't want to leave. He would have missed out on everything God had planned. That's exactly what happens when we refuse to release what's familiar. We stay in what's safe, but we miss what's divine. We settle in what's comfortable, but we miss what's called. If certain people hadn't left, you wouldn't have grown. If certain doors hadn't shut, you wouldn't have found the right ones. If God hadn't made space, there would be no room for what He's preparing. So when you feel that shift, when people drift away, when places lose meaning, when your spirit feels unsettled, don't resist it. Trust it. Trust that God is at work. Trust that He's not taking things from you. He's making room. Because when He blesses a woman, He doesn't just add, He subtracts. He removes the extra, He clears the clutter, He makes space for the supernatural. And if you can handle the solitude, you'll step into the fullness. Don't chase what He's removing. Don't cry over what He's replacing. Your next blessing is bigger than your last connection. Let go, surrender, and get ready, because when God separates, it's never to give you less, it's always to give you more. There comes a moment in every woman's life when something deep inside starts to shift. She can't explain it, but in her spirit, she knows. It's not just a passing feeling, it's a stirring in her soul. She wakes up different. The things that once made her happy don't anymore. The talks she used to love now feel dull. The places she once called home feel like strangers. It's like the whole atmosphere around her is shifting, and she's in the middle of it, trying to make sense of what's going on. But this isn't random, it's not just emotions, it's God whispering to her soul, get ready. God always moves in the spirit before He moves in the natural. Before she sees change with her eyes, she'll feel it in her soul. It may come as unease, as restlessness, as a divine push that says, prepare. Doubts may try to come in. She may wonder, am I just imagining this? Because on the outside, everything looks the same. The problems, the challenges, the waiting. But inside she knows, something is different. She knows there's more. She knows the life she's living isn't all God has for her. She feels him calling her higher. That's how God moves. He gives no blueprint, but he gives a feeling. He plants hope before the harvest. He stirs your spirit before he shifts your life. And in that moment, she has a choice. She can listen to the stirring, get ready, and lean into what's next. Or she can doubt it, dismiss it, and settle where she is. That's why faith matters so much. Because sometimes the only sign God gives is a whisper in your soul that says, stay ready. And if she's not careful, she'll talk herself out of her miracle. Convince her to stay where she is instead of stepping into where she's being led. But the women who experience the biggest blessings, the greatest turnarounds, the most unexpected favor, they're the ones who respond to that inner nudge. They're the ones who recognize when God is speaking, even when their surroundings feel confusing. They don't wait for proof before they prepare. They begin moving in faith, believing that if God is stirring their soul, it's because he's about to act. Think about Noah. God told him to build a huge boat, even though there wasn't a cloud in the sky, the weather was calm, the sun was out, there wasn't a storm in sight. But inside, Noah felt something. He trusted that quiet prompting. He followed what God was doing inside him, and because of that, he was ready when the rain came. That is exactly the kind of obedience God is calling you into. You might not see the breakthrough yet, but you feel it. You might not know the full plan, but something inside of you is shifting. You may not know the exact time, but you sense it's near. That's not just your thoughts. It's divine preparation. It's God getting you in position. So what should you do when your spirit is being stirred like that? You start preparing. You pray with deeper purpose. You act like the blessing is already coming. You release distractions. You get around people who are going where you're going, not those tied to where you've been. You stop giving your time to things that no longer fit your future, because the worst thing that can happen is to receive the blessing and not be ready. God doesn't pour out increase on those who aren't prepared. He doesn't open doors for people still tied to the past. He blesses the ones who are ready, who are expecting, who are making room for what's next. So if something inside you is stirring, if there's a whisper saying that greater is on the way, don't silence it. Don't push it aside. Don't wait until it all makes sense to start moving. Trust what God is doing inside you. Trust that he wouldn't stir your spirit unless he was getting ready to change your life. Because when a woman feels that deep knowing, that unstoppable hope, that holy restlessness, she's close to something powerful. And her only job is to get ready. When God is preparing to bless a woman with something extraordinary, he doesn't just give her a vision, he begins opening doors she didn't expect. All of a sudden, opportunities show up in ways she never could have planned. It's not random, it's not by chance, it's divine timing. At first, these moments may feel too big. She may pause and question if she's truly ready. After all, she's been praying and waiting, holding on in faith, even when nothing seemed to change. And now, seemingly out of nowhere, things start unfolding. Doors she never even knocked on are swinging wide open. People are reaching out. Resources are showing up. Favors following her. But here's the important part. When God opens a door, he expects her to walk through it. He didn't send the opportunity to tease her. He sent it because she's prepared. Even if she doesn't fully feel ready, even if she thinks she's lacking the experience or the skills, God wouldn't make a way if she wasn't already equipped. The problem is too many women talk themselves out of their blessings. They ask for a chance, but when it shows up, they pull back. They question if they're good enough. They let fear whisper that maybe now isn't the time, or maybe someone else would do it better. But when God opens a door, it's because he already chose her. It's because he sees the strength, the purpose, and the potential inside her, even if she hasn't seen it yet. Think about Esther. She didn't come from royalty. She was just a girl with a difficult past, yet God placed her in the palace. The door was open to her, but she still had to walk through it. She needed courage to step into her destiny. She had to trust that God positioned her for a purpose. And because she did, she saved an entire nation. That's how God moves. He doesn't just show you the dream, He makes a way for you to live it. He places the right people in your life. He aligns everything so that when the time is right, you'll have all you need. But it's your job to notice the open door and step through it. The opportunity might not look like what you imagined. It might appear as extra work, a challenge, or something that seems small at first. But God doesn't always send blessings with loud announcements. Sometimes they come quietly. Maybe it's a job that doesn't seem perfect, but is actually a stepping stone. Maybe it's a chance to speak, write, or lead in a way you've never tried. Even if you feel unqualified, God is shaping you into the woman He designed you to be. Maybe it's someone coming into your life who sees something powerful in you, something you haven't yet embraced. The key is to stay open. Don't brush off the small opportunities. Don't ignore the quiet nudges. Sometimes the small doors lead to the biggest rooms. And here's another truth. With every open door comes responsibility. When God gives you a chance, He wants you to handle it well. He wants you to show up fully, to give your best, to treat it with care, because mishandled blessings don't last. A woman who knows her opportunity is from God won't take it lightly. She won't shrink back. She won't waste time doubting. She'll move forward with boldness, knowing that if God brought her to it, He'll help her through it. But the enemy knows this too. That's why the moment a woman gets close to her breakthrough, fear starts speaking louder. It says, you're not ready, you're not good enough, what if you fail, what will people say? The enemy wants her to second guess herself because he knows that if she steps into that blessing, she'll become unstoppable. And this is where faith must rise. She has to know that what belongs to her can't be stolen. She has to believe that if God created a path, it's safe to walk. She has to move even if she's nervous. Because courage isn't the absence of fear, it's choosing to keep going anyway. So when doors start opening, when blessings begin to appear out of nowhere, when favor follows you, it's not luck, it's not coincidence, it's God declaring this is your time, and your only job is to say yes and walk through the door. When God is preparing to bless a woman with something major, things around her begin to move faster. What once felt slow or stuck suddenly begins to shift. Doors that stayed closed swing open. Opportunities that seemed far off come knocking. Situations that once felt hopeless begin to change in moments. This sudden speed is not a coincidence. It's God pulling together everything He's been working on in the background. And while it may feel fast, it's actually the result of all the prayers, tears, faith, and preparation she's been sowing for years. But here's what she needs to understand. Acceleration comes with responsibility. When God starts speeding things up, she must be ready to keep up. She has to be willing to release old habits, outdated routines, and even the expectations that once defined her. Because what's coming won't fit into the life she used to live. It'll require growth. It'll require faith. This kind of acceleration can feel intense. She may feel like she's barely keeping up, like everything is happening all at once. That's because she's waited so long that she got used to delay. She got comfortable in the waiting. But now God is saying, no more waiting. It's time. And then things begin to shift. The job offer shows up suddenly, the financial need is met overnight, the relationship she thought would take years to restore is healed quickly, the business she thought was moving slow begins to flourish, and she has to be ready to rise with the momentum. When God accelerates things, hesitation can cost her. She can't afford to stay still, overthink, or wait until it feels safe. She has to act. She has to embrace the new season. She has to believe that she's worthy of the blessing. This is where faith becomes action. Trusting that God's timing is perfect. Believing that He wouldn't rush her into something she's not ready for. Knowing that if He's moving things quickly, It's because he sees that she's been faithful, she's been growing, and she's prepared. He wouldn't speed things up if she wasn't able to handle the blessing. He wouldn't open doors if she wasn't strong enough to walk through them. Think of David. He was just a shepherd boy, quietly doing his work. And suddenly, he found himself face to face with a giant. One day he was unknown. The next, he was a hero. When God accelerates, it often comes without warning, but it always comes with purpose. Change can feel uncomfortable. A woman who has waited for years may feel safer in delay. She's learned how to survive. But now God is saying it's time to thrive. That's why the changes come quickly. That's why the shifts feel intense, because the waiting season is over. And when that happens, she must be ready to move. Many women miss their moment. They pray for acceleration, but when it finally arrives, they pause. They hesitate. They start second-guessing themselves. They cling to the old because it feels familiar. But acceleration doesn't wait for comfort. Acceleration demands courage. When God says, move, she has to move. That means if the relationship she's been praying for suddenly shows up in her life, she needs to be emotionally open to receive it. If the career breakthrough she's been waiting on finally appears, she must be ready to step into it with boldness. If the door she's been knocking on for years suddenly swings open, she has to stop overthinking and walk right through. And here's something else about acceleration. It comes with pressure. The faster things begin to move, the more responsibility she will carry. The enemy will try to make her feel stressed, like she isn't strong enough to keep up. But what she needs to know is this: God never accelerates someone without giving them the grace to handle the speed. Think about Joseph. He spent years in prison, forgotten and overlooked. But when his moment arrived, acceleration stepped in. In one single day, he went from being a prisoner to the second most powerful man in Egypt. He didn't have time to doubt, no time to hold back. He had to step into his calling instantly, believing that if God brought him to that moment, God would also carry him through it. And that's exactly what God does for every woman. He accelerates. If she finds herself in a season where life is picking up speed, where blessings are arriving one after the other, where things that once felt impossible are happening back to back, she must recognize that this isn't just her doing. This is divine timing. This is God saying, you've been faithful. You waited patiently. Now it's your time. So what does she need to do? She must adjust. She must move at God's pace, not fear's pace. She must welcome the changes instead of fighting them. She must let go of hesitation, stop doubting herself, and quiet the noise in her mind. Because if she tries to cling to the old while stepping into the new, she will feel split in two. But if she yields to the acceleration, if she truly believes that God's timing is flawless, then she will witness a breakthrough that doesn't just change her situation, but shifts her entire life. So if everything feels like it's happening fast, if new doors are opening suddenly, if the pace feels like too much, she must stay grounded. She must not run from it. She must not let fear convince her she's unprepared. Because the truth is, she is ready. That's the very reason God is moving how He is. That's why the timing has shifted. That's why things that once took years are now unfolding in months, weeks, or even days. Because when a woman is on the verge of entering her God-sent season, delays get lifted, roadblocks are removed, and divine acceleration takes over. And when that happens, there's only one thing she must do: keep up with the speed of God. When God is about to bless a woman with something major, she'll notice that some people will begin to exit her life. It won't always be clear why. Some will leave quietly, some will grow distant without explanation, others may begin acting strangely, showing through their actions that they're no longer meant to continue the journey with her. This can be painful. She might wonder what she did wrong, why the people she thought were solid are suddenly fading. She may try to hold on to fix it, to convince people to stay, But she needs to understand this. When God is shifting her into a higher season, He will remove anyone who isn't meant to go where she's going. Not everyone can handle the place God is leading her to. Not everyone can applaud the blessings that are about to come her way. Some people were only meant to walk beside her for a short time, not for the entire journey. And when their time is done, God allows separation to happen, not as punishment, but as preparation. Here's the truth. Some relationships are holding her back more than she realizes. Some connections have been draining her without her even noticing. Some friendships have kept her stuck in environments where she was meant to evolve. Some people have influenced her thinking in ways that do not match what God is doing in her spirit. And when it's time for elevation, God will sever those ties even when she doesn't feel ready to let them go. It's not always because those people are bad. Some of them are kind-hearted, but that doesn't mean they're equipped for her next chapter. Some might mean well, but they lack the vision, strength, or support that her new season will require. Some were attached to the version of her that no longer exists, not the woman she is now becoming. Think about Abraham. When God told him to step into a new land, He didn't instruct him to take everyone with him. He told him to separate from the familiar, to leave behind certain people, to move forward alone. Why? Because growth often requires separation. Because sometimes the very people she's clinging to are the same ones slowing down her progress. This is where many women get stuck. They try to bring everyone along. They feel the need to explain themselves, to justify their changes, to make others see what God is doing. But the reality is, some people will never understand. Some will resist the shift. Some will question it. Some will even try to talk her out of it. That's why discernment is crucial. She has to know when God is allowing something or someone to lead for a purpose. She has to understand that when people exit her life, it's not always rejection, it's redirection. It's God making space, making room for better relationships, for aligned connections, for the right voices, the right support, the right love. Because the blessings coming her way will require sharper focus, stronger faith, and deeper wisdom. And she cannot afford to be surrounded by those who distract her, drain her, or discourage her. She needs people who elevate her, people who speak life over her, people who won't be threatened by her rising, but will cheer her on. And here's something else. Sometimes God will clear people out before the blessing even arrives. She won't see the reason right away. She won't understand why the friendship ended or why someone changed until she enters her next chapter and realizes what God was protecting her from. Some people would have misused the blessing. Some would have tried to take credit. Some would have sown seeds of confusion right as she was stepping into her breakthrough. So instead of fighting the separation, she must trust it. Instead of chasing what's leaving, she must release it. Instead of begging people to stay, she must remember that if they were meant to stay, they would have. Even Jesus experienced this. When He was preparing to fulfill His greatest mission, some of His closest followers doubted Him. Some betrayed Him. Some abandoned Him. But He didn't chase after them. He didn't try to explain. He knew that His calling didn't depend on their support, and neither does hers. The right people will remain. The right people will see the hand of God on her life. The right people will not compete with her. They'll celebrate her. The right people will pray with her, not prey on her. And if God is letting certain people leave, it's because He's preparing her for relationships that align with her purpose. So if she's in a season where connections are fading, where people are distancing themselves, where old bonds are breaking, she must not lose heart. She must not shrink to fit in. She must not dim her light to make others comfortable. She has to believe that God is doing a divine pruning, that He's removing what no longer fits so she can receive what's truly hers, that he's eliminating distractions so she can focus fully on her mission, because the woman she's becoming cannot be surrounded by the same people, the same habits, or the same environment as before. She is rising. And elevation